Hi everyone, welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show with me and Graham here on AFTV. I've got Graham here. This is our final remote show. I mean, obviously, okay, we don't know what's going to happen with the government and restrictions and all that. But as things stand, this is the last one we'll be doing remotely, and I'll be able to see you soon again, Graham, in the flesh, in person, in the studio. I've got a somber tone, but I've got a bit of a smile on my face. I think that kind of maybe sums up the emotions coming out of this City game. I've had a couple of nights sleep now to digest it. I feel a little bit better about it, but not massively so. How are you feeling, Graham?
Yeah, I'm feeling very well, mate. Yeah, I really enjoyed the game and our performance on Saturday, James, despite the result. Arsenal losing to Man City is nothing new, of course. Arsenal have lost their last 9 in the Premier League to Man City and have not scored against them in their last 5. But it was different this time. It's a real testament to how far we've come and grown as a team since that 5-0 loss at the Etihad back in August. And I think for 85 minutes of that game, Arsenal were the better team and actually deserved to win the game. Unfortunately, as we're going to go into today, the game was really lost in that crazy 5 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes into the second half. Some of it, we have to say, was Arsenal's own making. Xhaka's lazy challenge on Silva that gave away the penalty, gave the referee a decision to make. Martinelli, who was brilliant in the game, full of energy and quality, then contrived to miss an open goal when Ake's back header was cleared off. Ake cleared a header off the line. We have to say that Stuart Atwell didn't cover himself in glory, not only in the game in that instant, and he got in Martinelli's way. And then, of course, Gabriel brought in his copybook by getting sent off, really inexperienced by him in that incident there. And those 3 incidents define the result. We have to say that. But for all this, I think there's lots of positives. I felt injustice on Saturday, but I felt pride in the team. I put on Twitter, I felt immense pride in the way the team played today. We went toe-to-toe with the best team in the league. And for me, I thought we're the better team in most of that game. And even when we went down to 10, I thought that we were excellent in the game. But unfortunately, you can't play against 12.
Especially with 10. Yeah, no, I echo a lot of that. And especially what you said about pride. We're going to go straight into it because there is a lot to cover, from a lot of big decisions, a lot of interesting things Arsenal did tactically. And a lot of it is tactical pad based today. There's not going to be too many numbers to break down because we really want to do our best to depict what Arsenal really did across the pitch. All 11 men on the field, and the 10, obviously after Gabriel sending off, were superb and followed their roles, brilliantly. And credit to Arteta and the team for what they did to Man City, during that game. I thought the Emirates crowd absolutely played their part. I felt there was an edge to the game. There was a nastiness. There was a rivalry. It's been a long time since we've been a rival to Man City. But look at what Rodri said after the game. He said, you only play 2 or 3 matches like that a season. And we're just kind of delighted to get out there, basically. That's what Big Steve said as well. So a lot of positives for Arsenal to take. It started in the press, something we weren't sure whether Arsenal were going to deploy, Man City being one of the best teams in the world on the ball. And we took we took the game to them. Break down this press. We're going to show it here now. What did you make of it, Graham?
I just think that we've come so far in our pressing in this game. I think what we did really well was we actually pressed and stopped Rodri. Rodri is the key to the way that Man City build up. And I think that's what Arteta identified. So Odegaard performed a vital role in this game. It was picked up in a fan cam, actually, by Jason Clark, who's a real excellent analyzer of the game. I met him recently at an Arsenal game, and his fan cam, go toe-to-toe, is well worth a watch. But he's right. Basically, what happened was Odegaard pressed on to Rodri, as you're showing there, whenever Ederson had the ball from a goal kick. The aim for us is to stop them from building up. And so we want them to build up with their centre halves. So you've got Lacazette there pressing high. Diaz and Laporte are obviously their centre backs who are positioned either side of Ederson. So we want the ball to go to their centre backs. The moment it goes to Diaz on the right hand side, as you've shown there, that was a trigger for our press, with Martinelli pressing onto Diaz. But I thought the key was not only Odegaard stopping the ball into Rodri and Martinelli pressing onto Diaz, it's the way that our discipline of our central midfield pivot actually played such a key role here, because Xhaka had a really key role to play in this game. He would then press onto their right back. That enabled our fullbacks to stay on their wide players. So Rodri was not getting the ball. It meant that Silva had to drop into central midfield to try and help Rodri, and then Partey would immediately press onto him. So City literally could not play round us. We said to City in that game, you're not going to play round us. That's what the message was. You're not going to play round us. We forced them to go back a lot of the time to a centre back or back to Ederson, and the ball would then go long from Ederson to one of their wide players, and we'd take that all day long, wouldn't we? A long ball to one of their wide
Absolutely.
players, Sterling against Tomiyasu, with Tomiyasu's ability to win aerial duels. Marius not great in the air, and that's what we had doing. We played it so well that Pep recognised it in the second half. He actually then had Ederson playing as an outfield defender to try and create an extra defender to play around this press. That's how well we were pressing and how we made Pep think, because they just could not get out. This was brilliant pressing by Arsenal. It was a key off the ball to how we then stopped Man City playing, but enabled us to be so good on the ball, James.
It felt that we really wanted to encourage the long ball. You know, we picked out it was Bernardo Silva there, but it was usually actually De Bruyne in space because De Bruyne was more on the left, as you rightly said, and but Bernardo was on the right. But it felt that we were leaving some of their key players in lots of space. But the challenge was, A, can you get it to them? And B, even if you do, the pace and power of our centre backs and their dominance in the air, Tomiyasu as well, meant that actually that was always a battle we were going to have an advantage in anyway. So we set some really nice traps. There was actually something I wanted to bring up, you know, because that was the first phase. Once they did actually get higher up the pitch and they were playing more in the middle third, I thought Arsenal did a really good job here. We're just going to bring the players forward. And Diaz has the ball as usual. Arsenal are incredibly narrow there in terms of from Gabriel to Lacazette. It's a very kind of short defensive shape. You know, we're not spread out across the pitch too much. And I think what that did was, A, create a real dense midfield so that De Bruyne and Bernardo couldn't get on the ball. You find that their wingers were really wide, but it means that we're almost inviting that ball over the top to maybe Mahrez, to Raheem Sterling. And that, for me, is bread and butter for Arsenal because players like Ben White, Gabriel, what do we say about them? Athletically gifted, very quick, good in the air. You know, those balls that Diaz might want to pick out, and occasionally they tried it, maybe over the top to Gabriel Jesus. It is bread and butter for players like Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney as well. And actually, these are all Arteta signings. He's brought in centre-backs. I think there was even one time Ramsdale came off his line to clear one. You know, when that long ball is attempted by Man City, we've got players that Arteta's brought in that are ready to deal with that. So having a very narrow centre of the pitch created other traps for when they did get further forward. It felt like wherever they had the ball, we had an answer to what they were trying to do.
Yeah, and I think that it just shows how brave we are now, James, off the ball. The fact that we do push up, we are. There's the old Arsenal was lots of gaps between the spaces were too wide. The spaces are closer now. There's confidence in the player's ability. And I think what he's done really well, Arteta, this season, is he's literally got that defence now so well tuned. As you say, those defenders, they're good on their recoveries. They can win their one-on-one duels. They can play higher up the pitch. The moment you got that, the midfield players got confidence in the defence to then go and press higher, which they did, which Xhaka did really well. And Partey was absolutely superb in the game, which we're going to talk about. It creates the platform to be what you want to be. And I think we were confident in our ability to play in this way against a team. It was a real test against a really strong opponent, the best team in the league, probably the best team in Europe. And I think it was such a pleasure to see how well we played on Saturday in that respect.
Completely agree. And I mentioned the recovery defenders. Tomiyasu, one of them. What a game. His return from COVID. Obviously, wouldn't have trained in that time. Comes in, probably only had a day's training at best. Superb. Ranked first for ground duels, second for 44 touches, first for clearances, second for tackles and interceptions as well. There was one crucial interception in that second half where he thought Sterling might have got through, and there he was to sniff out the danger. He was superb. You sent these numbers through. I take it you were incredibly impressed with him, Graham.
I was not only impressed by him off the ball, but sometimes on the ball as well. The way he got a few attacks going when he won the ball. And in fact, he's two-footed, that he got attacks moving with passes into central midfield. I think we also have to say, James, that he probably had hardly any training because he'd been out with COVID, hadn't he? And so to come back in an intense, high-level game like this and put in a performance like that, just shows how good he is. I mean, people were saying that he's our best right back since Bakary Sagna, and that is such high praise and warranted. He's a real fan's favourite already, and
Yeah,
his name is sung out. You know, I watched his performance on Saturday in awe, really, and I thought he actually nullified Raheem Sterling,
yeah.
and that just shows how good he was.
He was brilliant. Whether Sterling tried to go inside on the run, outside with the ball, over the top, whatever it was, Tomiyasu dealt with him absolutely superbly. And Sterling has been finding form recently. So massive credit to Tomiyasu. I think we mentioned a couple tactical insights ago that maybe we don't give him as much praise as we should. We're definitely giving it today. Him and Partey were immense. We'll get on to Partey. He played a crucial part in our goal. But I also want to big up Ben White. Let's have a little look at this goal, because De Bruyne with a heavy touch, White is there to take it immediately. And that's what I love about him. His starting, when White wants to do is win the ball early up the pitch. He gives it into Partey, draws the City players in, straight into Xhaka, who first time into Odegaard. Crucial pass there from Xhaka, who does brilliantly. Odegaard switches it to Tierney. Tierney's getting forward. And then Lacazette here, you mentioned the point that he screens Laporte, and you're absolutely right. Because when that ball comes in from Tierney, Saka sweeps it away absolutely superbly. It's a really, really, really lovely goal. It's so well worked. It's off the training field. It's a Man City goal against Man City. And it was Arsenal playing with confidence against one of the best teams in the world. They'd earned that through what they'd done in the 30 minutes in the game. I think they'd rattled Man City a little bit with some of their challenges, some of their early aggression on and off the ball. I think they were surprised by how direct we were. Martinelli was put in quite a few times. And actually, they were probably surprised how much control of the game Xhaka and Partey had. Now, Odegaard was superb as well. Those pockets he picks up are why he's so brilliant, why he's such an intelligent footballer, probably why he's being tipped to be a captain as well. But I think we surprised Man City. And I think that goal, they thought, oh my God, they're popping it round us and we can't get near them. Nor could they really even keep the ball properly against us, or certainly not in dangerous areas. It's a great goal. And it's one off the training field. And, congrats to Arteta for installing that into the players.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% there, mate. I think the midfield battle was won by Arsenal's triangle of Xhaka, Partey and Odegaard. I think that you can't underestimate how good Xhaka's pass forward is in that movement to actually release Odegaard. And I think Odegaard was key because we literally were looking to create overloads in central midfield around their midfield too, because I thought a lot of the time De Bruyne was more forward in the left half space, supporting Jesus when they pressed in a 4-4-2. It wasn't getting back into midfield a lot. So Silva was the one dropping in a lot in the first half to assist Rodri. But we looked to get those overloads around that midfield too and get Odegaard in spaces where he could combine on the our right-hand side and get Bukayo Saka in. And he did that really well. I think Odegaard, influential off the ball, influential on the ball. People say he goes missing in big games. I didn't see it on Saturday. I thought he had a really good, strong performance.
Yeah.
And I just think that what we did really well is I think we looked at Ake as being their weak link. Not only when they had the ball, we were quite happy for him to have the ball because he's not a great passer, but he's like the left-sided centre half, probably uncomfortable on the ball and not great at defending wide areas. So a lot of the times what we did really well in the way we played around them is we shifted their defence over to the right that created the space where Laporte couldn't come and assist Ake on the left-hand side, which gave Saka the chance to really run at him and cause him problems. Yeah. And Pep adjusted it second half. We had that one ridiculous moment in the second half, which was shown on Twitter, on social media, where you've got literally 4 or 5 Man City players coming across to actually try and stop Bukayo Saka in full flow. But in that first half, that's what we did really well. Highlighted by that goal, the way that we won the ball back really well, the aggressive pressing, right? Not only up high, but you mentioned there quite rightly, Ben White, the way he wins that ball. But the key pass to me is the Xhaka pass that releases Odegaard in space. Kieran Tierney, then who he finds up high. Kieran Tierney, who I thought was really disciplined at the start of the game, as both our fullbacks were. We recognised, I think, that they had to be disciplined. So we had to get a foothold in the game. We earned the right to play the football that we played, James, by being so disciplined at the start, stopping Man City from being what they wanted to be. Then we started to impose ourselves on the game. Last 15 minutes of that half, Tierney did go higher, get some crosses in. We did start to get Odegaard on the ball and created really well and got Saka in some really good positions. And also, the other thing we have to mention first half was that when we played out, I think in that first half, looking at the numbers, Ramsdale went long 33 times, which showed that we weren't going to play out on that, when they pressed in a 4-4-2. But what we did really well in that first half, James, is we looked to isolate Martinelli one-on-one with Cancelo, who wasn't able to get forward as much as he normally likes to do. He played more inverted a lot in this game as well. But a lot of the time he was pushed back by that long ball out wide to Martinelli, who was able to kill it instantly and run at him and force him back. And he looked really uncomfortable when Martinelli. And that's what we got now in these wide areas. We've got players who can come short, receive the ball, and also players that can run in behind. And it was in evidence on Saturday, James.
Yep, completely agree. Now, we don't want to do it, but we've got to do it. Some quick fire on the refereeing decisions, but also, of course, we're going to give a word on, how much we've got to look at ourselves for some of these errors. But this one, certainly not. Martin Odegaard. Very quickly, Graham, penalty for you?
When I first saw it, I thought no penalty. When I saw it back again, penalty.
Yeah.
And I think what you see is that although I know some people would disagree, it's low contact. But I think when Odegaard gets the ball in the pass from Lacazette, Ederson comes out. It looks like he's tackled him. The ball moves in flight, so you think he's taken the ball. When you see it back again, it's a pen for me because he takes his foot. So for me, it's a pen. Why it didn't go to the when it went to VAR, they didn't ask Stuart Atwell to go and look at the screen. Only they know. Rio Ferdinand said in the studio he has no idea now what clear and obvious is because they didn't ask him to go to look at the monitor because they thought it wasn't clear and obvious. When I saw it in slow motion, that is clear and obvious to me. He made an error, so I have no idea why that penalty wasn't given, or certainly he didn't go and look at the screen. And if he had looked at the screen and you see it in slow motion, I think you will see that Ederson takes his foot. I think if you come out and make a tackle on a player, you've got to win the ball. He took the ball, but he took his foot first. And so for me, that's a penalty. That is a penalty.
I completely agree. And I think the biggest injustice is not that they didn't come to the right decision when it comes to the penalty or not. Yeah, that's frustrating. But what gets me and Arsenal fans so much is that they didn't go and look at it again. But they did the other one. And here we are. We've got to talk about it. Granit Xhaka on Bernardo Silva. Again, penalty for you?
Well, I think if you're not gonna, both for me were low contact. And I think if you're not going to give penalty for one, you can't give a penalty for the second one. I think when I looked at that, the first thing I saw was I thought Silva was really clever. He's literally make sure he makes contact with Xhaka. Xhaka, this is a weakness of the way Granit Xhaka is as a footballer. He was absolutely superb on Saturday in the way he played in the middle with Partey. So I'm not going to criticise him for that, and I'm not going to sort of criticise him too much for that error. But he's not able to turn quickly, or he's not mobile. We've said it in the past. But when Silva gets into that position, he knows what he's doing. And he literally invites the contact with Xhaka. So everyone was sort of fooled thinking that it was a tug of the shirt that actually was the reason why the penalty was given. It wasn't. It was what they were looking at was Xhaka actually stuck a leg out and Silva just made sure he made contact with the leg. It was quite clever. And he's into his dive before Xhaka actually sort of tugs at the shirt. He's going down already. It's 50-50. You could argue it's a penalty, but it's soft in my opinion. And I think James, I'll openly come out and say it. It's cheating. It's absolutely cheating. But then all footballers do it, don't they? When you get contact, you go down. But his dive was a blatant dive. I think it's the inconsistency of the way they applied the VAR that really upset me on Saturday and upset a lot of Arsenal fans. I think it looks like it's just incompetent the way they apply the rules. And you can say it's corrupt or it's incompetent. It's one or the other. You take your pick.
For me, it's a penalty as well. I don't like it from Xhaka. Again, I'm with you. I'm not going to go in on him because I think he's been terrific pretty much all season, really, since that red card at City. I know he's had a big injury since, but when he has played the few games, he's been terrific. And I thought he was really good against City. But this is a crucial moment. He's got a history of this. People really get on my case when they say, how could you want an upgrade to Xhaka? Why do you always say he played well, but we need an upgrade and a new partner for this? And I'm going to show you. This is Xhaka on Bernardo Silva a couple years ago. He's got a history of this. I'm showing you one, but it just happens to be that this one involves the same two players. He's got a history of getting into the penalty area and not keeping his cool. You know, we had to beat Brighton on the final day in 2019 to, qualify for the Champions League, basically. It would have all but confirmed it. And he brings down Solly March in the box because he sticks an arm out. You know, he's got a history of, making stupid decisions when Arsenal lead at least. And that's why. It's very rarely, yes, I've got an issue with his mobility. Yes, I think he's maybe not really up to the pace of the best central midfielders in the Premier League, but I've never said he's a bad player. I've never said he lacks commitment, heart, that leadership quality, a great left foot, a decent right foot, in fairness. He's got all that, but he makes too many stupid errors. But but where he's going to get a pass is that ultimately it doesn't matter whether we're making stupid decisions or not. If the referees aren't doing their jobs, the referees have to do their jobs. And I say what I just said. That's not really true. I mean, you want to not give the referee a decision to make. But how can you look at one and not the other? And you've said it yourself. I won't say any more than that, but you're absolutely spot on. I do want to talk about something else while I'm on this rant. This tackle from Rodri. Now, I think people said it was a slip. Wasn't a lot. It was just unfortunate. I see 2 feet and what do they call it? Not aggression. What do they call it? What's the terminology, Graham? When they say a tackle, they're looking for over excessive force. I think that's what they say.
That's it.
Excessive force. I see excessive force there. I saw it live. I was in the stadium. He sent Martinelli absolutely flying. Got a second image here. Sent him absolutely flying. 2 feet. I'm so confused by what the rules are. Is it about intent or is it about the final result? Because I've seen Tomiyasu get a boot to the face. Was it intentional? I actually think it kind of was, but I understand that in the replay you can't tell that it was against Everton. I see 2 feet here. I don't know, what is it? Is it intention? Is it ultimately that the final action that's getting judged? I'm so confused because I don't think Xhaka intended to bring Bernardo Silva down. I think he's kind of just stood his ground and Bernardo Silva's kind of run into him, but they've given a penalty. I'm so confused about what constitutes a foul, what doesn't. And the biggest thing I've got on that Rodri one, fine, he slipped. You don't want to give him a card or whatever. He gave a corner. He didn't even see a foul in that, which I find staggering. Now I know Rodri, you've said it yourself off camera and you're spot on. He's brilliant. And I give him credit for it. He's brilliant. He goes through the whole game knowing how to break up play and give his team little advantages without, getting booked. But that is so frustrating because I see that one. I see one on Bukayo Saka in the half. I then see another one between him and Lacazette. And then Saka's getting a booking. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, Atwell completely lost control of the game for me. Sorry, I felt he did.
I think he did as well. I think just going back to that stamp on Tomiyasu's face, do you know who the fourth official was that night at Everton?
Atwell, was it?
It was Atwell. So that's the disappointing thing. I think that, look, the officials failed, in my opinion, the way they applied the VAR was inconsistent on Saturday in those 2 penalty decisions. That's clear. I think the way Atwell refereed the game was poor. I think he gave a lot, and this is not me with my Arsenal bias. It's just clear. Arsenal committed 11 fouls on Saturday. 5 players booked and 1 player sent off. I think Rodri was committed just as many fouls as the whole Arsenal team. And I can't remember if he got booked or not. He might have got booked at the end. But you are right. City are very clever at the dark arts, the way that they apply fouls. We've got to get smart, I think, in the way that we if you can't beat it, I suppose you have to
join it.
Yeah.
That's why I love Lacazette.
Yeah, Lacazette, the way he buys fouls is the way I think we should be. And I think the team needs to learn from that. But Rodri's very clever. That incident for me was a yellow card. I know he slipped, but it was a foul. And I just can't see why he didn't get booked. I saw a referee giving every 50-50 to Man City. I've got to be honest with you, that's what I saw. Because normally when there's a home game, normally the refs do tend to favour the home sides, don't they, in 50-50 decisions. But I didn't see it in this game. I thought the referee was starstruck by Man City all through the game, gave them every 50-50. And that's what we were up against. That's why I said when you're playing against 12, no matter how brilliant you are tactically and no matter how well you play, it's always going to be a problem. But I just think that they got every 50-50 call. And I think some of the decisions by Atwell on the pitch as well favoured Man City, and that was clear to him. I think he's a very poor referee. I think he was struck off the Premiership list a few years ago. He gave a ghost goal, and I think in a Championship game, and he's just not a great referee. And we've got the best. I think it was Helen made a really good point on Saturday. We've got sort of like the best league in the world with the worst referees, and that was clear on Saturday again. He was really poor in that game.
Yep, agree. I'll just say my piece very quickly on the Gabriel red. Firstly, again, we said about Xhaka, so I'm going to be consistent. Even though I love Gabriel, it was stupid of him to go flying in like that. Really reckless, especially with where the game was at that point. It was clearly very fiery. We had the ball cleared off the line. Martinelli's hit the post. We've given away the penalty. He's been booked because of whatever it is he said to the referee. Some people thought it was for scuffing the penalty spot. It wasn't. It was actually after. It was in protest during the Man City celebrations. And then he's gone and gone in on Gabriel Jesus. This is, again, where I feel Atwell lost control of the game. I think that's an opportunity for you to go, listen, it's boiling over. Firstly, I'm not sure he merited a yellow for whatever protests there were. Stuyvenberg said in his post-match that he felt it was harsh on Gabriel, that first yellow. That second one, it's not a nice challenge, but just does the whole thing merit a red card? In my opinion, it's harsh, but I can see why it was. But again, I felt he lost control of the game. And when he's booking Rob Holding and Bukayo Saka like it's nothing, the yellow card's flying out, Holding one tackle later, one tackle into the game is booked. I didn't see that consistency. So people watching it on Match of the Day saying, why are Arsenal fans complaining? And then if you'd watched the whole 90, you'd understand it was chalk and cheese the way both teams were treated by the ref, in my opinion.
But one thing I will say is we were incredibly disciplined in the first half, the way we played the game. But our lack of discipline, whatever you say, cost us that match. And in that 10-minute period, those three incidents, the penalty, Martinelli missing the open goal, and then the Gabriel blotting his copybook with his inexperience, showed our lack of discipline. We lost the game, whatever you say, through lack of discipline. As much as we won the first half through our discipline and our great play, our lack of discipline at that moment cost us. And that's something I think we need to learn from. Gabriel, he's been better this year, but he has got that in him. And I've seen it in the past, saw it last year. And unfortunately, then it became really difficult going down to 10 men against Man City. And all of a sudden, the game we should have won then became a game where, we looked like we were going to lose.
Yeah,
and of course we did lose, but the reality was it was a case of then trying to hold what we had.
Yeah, and actually I thought the boys were fantastic when down to.
I will quickly sum up, James, because I know you want to move off to the roundup stats. I think we defended really well in a 5-3-1 when we went down to 10 men. Xhaka then dropped in next to the two centre backs. We literally had 5 and 3 screening the back 5 to stop Man City playing in the inverted spaces. We handled that really well. So that's the other good thing I took out of the game. The way we defended, because we've questioned Arsenal in the past and they've gone down to 10 men and they've been smashed. But we literally, the way we played that game, we played really well first half in open play, pressed really well, and then we defended well when we went down to 5-3-1. Unfortunately for us, whatever we say about the poor refereeing, the poor decisions that went against us, it was a lack of discipline in that 10 minutes that cost us that match.
Yeah, agreed. I just want to say as well, you sent me his numbers in. Thomas Partey, just want to say, I love you. We're going to miss you so much when you go to AFCON. What a performance against Man City. And just an apology to kind of anyone watching this, because, we spend a lot of time talking about the decisions. And I know that's probably getting covered on Bias Premier League show, whatever, but they have to be broken down. They are crucial in terms of understanding the context of this game, where things went right and wrong tactically and how Arsenal had to adapt. And I think overall, for everything that happened, and some of it was our own doing, Arsenal responded very well. But credit to Thomas Partey, who was immense on the day. We're going to miss him lots. And I think on another day, Graham, we'd love to be sitting here waxing lyrical about Partey, giving a good 5-10 minutes on his performance. But, it's just the nature of the game. So much other really crucial stuff happened. But again, he was terrific.
Just quickly, his best game in an Arsenal shirt. He had power and presence in midfield. The body feints to get out of trouble, the drop of the shoulder to get away from the pressure from their midfield. His ability to find others in space under heavy pressure, his tackling, he broke up countless of their attacks. And I just think he was absolutely superb. And this is the Thomas Partey, well worth the money we paid. And it's just disappointing how he goes off to AFCON in it. But at least we've seen what he can be. And I hope when he comes back, he can continue to put in performances like that.
Completely agree. Let's round off with the round off stats. I love it when you send them through. There's always some great ones in here. Arsenal's goal against Man City was their first goal against them in the Premier League for 9 hours and 20 minutes. The last Arsenal player to score against City in the Premier League was Laurent Koscielny. Bloody, I remember that header at the Etihad. Oh, we haven't beat them since 2015. Arsenal now lost their last 10 league matches against City, their longest losing sequence against any opponent in their league history, and we're so close to turning that around. Saka's now registered 10 direct Premier League goal involvements in a single season, 6 goals, 4 assists for the first time. Him and Martinelli were superb on the day. Again, another 2 players who deserve so much more time and praise on this show. Apologies we didn't, but again, so many other crucial things to go through. But they caused so many problems to Man City. They're like our Ribery and Robin. You know, they would go outside, inside, and they can do both, and they're unpredictable. And I love that. What an amazing balance they bring to the team. 42% of Arsenal's 33 Premier League goals have now been scored by Bukayo Saka or Emil Smith-Rowe with 6 and 8. And then Granit Xhaka has now conceded 6 pens in the Premier League for Arsenal. Only Koscielny has given more. That is in the Premier League, and that tells you everything. Granit Xhaka, a really good performance against City, but if I was to give it a rating, it's a 5 or a 4 because of that penalty, and that's not a reflection of the 90 minutes, but it's a shame.
I think you're being a bit harsh there, James. I think he's worth a 7. I think he had a really good performance, but you are right. You know, this is you know what you get with Xhaka, and unfortunately, it defined the game, didn't it? That incident, it was the turning point that led to them getting back in the game, isn't it? Yeah.
The performance was a 9 or a 10. The penalty incident was a 1 or a 2. You know, it was. Yeah. I understand he's a little unfortunate. You know, it's one of those that, you know, can go under the radar. But when you've got history, you've got history, man.
The other thing he needs to cut out, James, is he surrounded the referee a couple of times on Saturday, got in the referee's face a lot. I want to see him not doing that. He could get himself sent off. I think he should show better leadership as well with the Gabriel thing, you know, after he'd been booked, because Gabriel lost his head, you know, and maybe he could have done more there. But then Xhaka's got a little bit of history of losing his head as well. So that's a bit disappointing. He's a leader of the group, of course, but I just want to pray. It's not a day really for sort of like saying too much about that side of Xhaka's game. I just thought on the day, him and Partey and Odegaard, that 3 bossed a really top midfield, and to me, just in closing up, my final thoughts on it, it felt like an injustice, but let's take the inspiration out of a really good performance and just hope the team now can go on and really put in these sort of performances, which will, if they do, push us close to top 4, I feel.
Yeah, completely agree. And for the sake of consistency, because I know what people are like in the comment section. Yes, I feel exactly the same about Gabriel. We saw that red card against Southampton. We've talked about it. Again, we need to work on that because, again, his performance was a 9 or a 10, and then the red card brings it all the way down. But I've got to say they were terrific. Every player, unfortunate, I think things went against them, even those key decisions we mentioned. But what a great effort against City. And I know we lost, but a lot of positives to take out of it.
Yeah, and the positives we saw in the stadium, the way the crowd stayed to cheer the team off at the end. You don't see that very often in defeat. Yeah. And the positives in a lot of our fan cams on AFTV on Saturday, to see everybody sort of like really sort of proud of the team. The comments, the fan cams reflected that. Good to see DT back on the fan cam as well. Love his passion for the clubs. Good to see him back as well. But I just think there were positives we could take out of this performance. Ultimately, we lost to a really good side, but they got every 50-50 call. And I will say they had to cheat to actually get back in that game because they couldn't score for 55 minutes before that incident. But for all that, Arsenal need to learn, apply the dark arts properly, and sort of like be more disciplined in those sort of situations. Because overall, I thought we were incredibly disciplined for most of that match.
Completely agree. And you know what? The fact that, you know, there had to be a bit of a dive in there. There had to be a few dark arts. Rodri's celebration with his shirt off. I think that's all a compliment to how good Arsenal were. So, yes, well done, the boys. Well done on the performance. Result wasn't what we wanted, but hey, we can build off this, and we asked for performance, and we got it. Guys, if you like this video, do smash the like button. It helps us out a lot. Obviously, it gives us the opportunity as we grow and the platform grows to do more stuff. And we do have big plans for this show. So, yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back in the studio soon. But, yeah, we've got plans for some really big things coming forward. do get in the comment section. Graham's there as always. I'll pop in as well. Discuss the game, where it went right and wrong for you, and yeah, let's build on this Arsenal. Come on, we've got a big January, and I think despite the result, I actually think that was a decent start. So let's build on it. Thanks, Graham. We'll see you
Thanks,
soon.
James.
More content coming this week ahead of Liverpool. Catch you then.